trade has always been an interesting field, but it is a particularly interesting field right now. The field is evolving so quickly. The types of things that are being negotiated, it's not just goods, but all different types of services, digital trade, intellectual property, e-commerce, investment issues. It's across the board, regulatory issues. It is fascinating, but it's fun. And you meet interesting people and you travel to fascinating places. So trade, great field to be in.
I mean, this is a really exciting time to be working in the civil service. The challenges that we have are really testing our problem-solving skills like never before. And in the Brexit environment, customs and international trade, quite uniquely in my career, have become centre stage of both national and international debate. So we really are, I think, the biggest game in Whitehall. We are advising on the highest possible stakes in terms of the UK's national interest. So, you know, as a civil servant, where else would you really want to be at this time but working somewhere within trade?
When you look at what's going on in the world at the moment, when you look at the UK's decision to leave the EU, and you look at the growth of the economies around the world and the changing nature of where the growth's coming from, I think it's a fantastic time to be involved in trade now. I have just joined the civil service. I'm here, it's my second week after 30 years in the private sector. Being around business has been something that I've done all my life. This is a great opportunity to combine public service in terms of how we're going to help grow our trade overseas and within the UK, and use my business experience together. So I'm very excited to be here.
So I think it's a really fascinating area of policy, and it's really high profile. But fundamentally, the global economy is growing, and there are so many opportunities out there for Britain to take advantage of that by trading more with the rest of the world. And that's great for our companies, and that's great for our consumers. And by working on trade policy, you can help that happen.
So I've always loved trade, and I did it for 5 or 6 years in London and in Washington. And ultimately, the reason I left was because I didn't really know if I was making any real impact. I was having to persuade the Commission to do things, and that they were going out and negotiating it or not. You know, what's brought me back into it is the chance that now we really have the opportunity to do it ourselves. And I think that's a tremendously exciting time.
For 2 reasons. One is to remind ourselves not to take international trade precedents for granted, and we now have, as the United Kingdom, a new opportunity to set new precedents and genuinely reframe and reform the fabric that has helped so many world businesses do better. And I very much wish to be part of the blueprint of our future economy.
Why would you not want to work in trade right now? These are momentous times for the country and for the civil service. My current role embraces both leading for the Department for Transport on EU exit, but also in developing work on international trade. So we're working at the cutting edge of government at a time of the utmost importance for the country, and delivering the government's programme and getting the right outcome for the UK is really, really motivating.
So for me, trade policy in the UK right now is one of the fastest growing policy areas. It's hugely important, not just for the future of our country, but also as a professional. It provides many opportunities to learn and develop and grow. So I'm really excited to be working in this space.
I think working in trade is always a really, really interesting thing to do. I think exports and investment is where politics, economics and business come together in a mix, and that makes it fascinating from 3 different angles. I think right now, of course, there's a lot of change going on. Trade and investment are really centre stage, so that makes it a particularly interesting place to be.
I can't think of a single area across government that's got more variety or excitement in trade at the moment. It's incredibly current. It allows me to, if I go into the trade profession, to work in domestic as well as international spaces, and that's something that really appeals to me.
Well, I think working in trade right now is really exciting. There is as a civil servant, it offers a great mix of very technical issues and political issues. You have to use your intellectual abilities, but also your emotional intelligence. So it's a really unique skill set, and it allows you to bring a lot of different things to the table as a civil servant and to play a really important role. I also think there's not many other issues right now that affect people's lives so much. So whether that's about job creation in the country or about the availability and price of goods in the supermarket, I think it has a really big impact on the British society, and therefore it's really worth working on right now.